Unforgiven.
Gene Hackman, by the way, is maybe the best performance in the film. I'm sorry that Richard Harris didn't get as much opportunity to perform as I would have liked, but he had some fun as English Bob.
Yeah, but he was strong. You know? He was strong.
Yeah. But he was too orderly. He was in a situation where the bad guy was highly organized. He was almost as organized as Hans Gruber. So
Right.
relatively soft-spoken, extremely intelligent, tremendously well-read. I mean, he speaks Latin. This is a smart guy and an intelligent guy, and he is ruthless and prepared to do anything, but he's going to do it with a smile on his face, and you're going to see if you want to thank him after he's finished with you. The scene where he dares the writer guy, played by Saul Rubinek, who handed the gun to English Bob, knowing English Bob would never have the guts to shoot him. And say, go ahead, shoot me. Because he just dares them, and he just...
Here's that. Here it is right here.
Beats him down. He beats those two down. And look he never raises his voice. There you go. I've never seen Saul play a character like Pat, actually. He normally plays a somewhat aggressive.
Yeah, he usually plays like the bad, successful person that is like, compromised a little bit like gray, like a gray guy.
That's what he's doing guest shots. But on Warehouse 13, which is probably his biggest role, he's playing the aggressive nerd.
Well, he's also in True Romance. He plays like the studio head that's going to buy, and you probably haven't seen that movie, but he plays the studio head in Hollywood that makes all these movies like Apocalypse Now type movies, like almost like a Francis Ford Coppola, but he's going to be buying these drugs, so that he can be the playboy and stuff like that. He did a good job. Like, he's a good actor.
Yeah, the film I've seen about that gets inside Hollywood is The Player with Tim Robbins, which is masterpiece.
Right.
But I love those scenes where he couldn't get on the horse.
Yeah, those are great.
He's so unused to being his old self, and he's lost his self because he's suppressed all that along with his aggressiveness to please his wife. And so now he's what's the word? He's just out of his mind, really.
He kind of is. So back to what you were saying about, like, what I was thinking is for Western, like, I guess my formal self would have liked more to, like, I guess when I was younger and, like, when I watched these type of movies, it was like, I felt justified in the revenge. I guess I was being wooed by a spirit of revenge to a certain extent, and I got more satisfaction out of revenge films. But in general, as an Orthodox Christian now today, I tend to be turned off by the attitude of just wanting to just kill the guy or murder people, even when it's justified, like as justice. Like, I struggle with it.
Absolutely. And again, this is why Open Range worked better for me than Unforgiven. So it's a personal thing, and people can criticize me for not really being fair to the two films together, because I'm kind of bringing an outside criterion that's not true to either film, strictly speaking, because I agree with you. Films. That's why I never really got behind the Charles Bronson movies. They just seem to be just.
But I loved all that. Like, I used to love revenge films. Like, I think that's still a motivating. A lot of films are kind of like motivated by that, and I think that we're all struggling with this idea that, I wish they would take care of that Charles Manson type character or whatever. So whoever that person is they need justice. You have to kind of like wonder, are they the arm of justice, or are they just totally lost control of themselves and, are guilty of the same thing by, murder, basically by eye for an eye type of thing.
Murder is when you kill somebody who can't defend themselves, right?
Well, I think murder is just when you want to kill somebody in your heart and you do it. That's murder.
Others are armed or not. Well, that's God's call, right?
I guess, yeah, it's in your heart.
We can only sort of guess at the distinction when we're looking at it from the outside.
I wrote this yesterday. Unforgiven is a weathered hymn sung by the ghosts of the Old West, where the gun is both judge and executioner, and redemption lies buried beneath the dust of past sins.
Yeah, that's exactly Unforgiven. That's perfect. And to me, that is an incomplete world. That's a world that's going to collapse on itself, because there's what I was saying about Open Range was they left their world. They said, we're coming back, and they helped get the world get set back to order. Then they had to go finish their own thing because they had to put to order their own things. Here, he comes in, he's forced into the situation more than he wanted to be.
He didn't have his wife. He's struggling with sick pigs, and his kid. He's looking at his kids and his wife watching over them, and wanting to not have to work so hard for his children. I think that's his total motivation for trying to do this, was that he wanted he's out there working the land. He's struggling with nothing out there.
Content. He can't do this.
That's true.
Pigs have fever because he doesn't know how to care for pigs.
He doesn't know what he's doing. His wife's not there anymore to help him keep on the straight and narrow path. And I'm sure she had a lot of these skills, because women didn't just sit around doing nothing out then.
This compounds his inner chaos.
Well,
so there's opportunity. Maybe I can use my chaos and get enough money. If I get $500
and get out for good and still honor my wife.
Right. And the three of us can get out of this and we can get away, which of course they say he does at the end. But in the course of it, in order to do that, he has to let go of what little civilizational skill he ever had, because he has to go full, I don't know, Terminator, effectively.
He basically he awakened his old self by drinking.
Right. And I was just thinking about that. That's perfect. That's exactly the moment when it happened.
And you see this scene, there's this scene before he goes back into the when it's pouring rain, and he sees his friend there, and he's coming back in to town, and it's pouring rain, and what you see happen is the bottle like hits the ground. And let's see what's going on here. So remember at this part where he's like, I don't kill nobody no more. Right? The young guy, he's like, I don't kill no one no more. And he like leaves, and he tells him to take the money to his kids.
Right.
And then give it to the Indian lady. And then right here, you see there's a scene coming up here, and the next scene kicks it off. Empty bottle thrown into the water. And that's what leads us to this next situation where he kind of like shifts into his former self and is like unstoppable at this point. He knows that if he gets himself within this state of mind, he's gonna he's a machine. He's a killing machine.
We can give him a little grace when you think about it, because once he kills the core of Baxter's gang, including, well, of course, he has to do extra work to kill Baxter. And there's a whole, didn't he just plain execute Baxter at the very end of it?